Marhaba, welcome to the Beginner's List series. In this series, we're diving into one of the most essential aspects of Arabic, the Arabic alphabet. Each letter in Arabic is unique, not only in its sound, but also in how it looks when written. Did you know that the Arabic letters can have up to 4 different forms? That's right. Depending on where the letter appears in a word, be it beginning, middle, end, or when standing alone, the shape of the letter can change. Now, there are 28 Arabic alphabets, and learning all 28 Arabic alphabets might seem daunting, but don't worry. I've broken them down into 4 manageable parts. Whether you are a complete beginner or just brushing up on your skills, this lesson is perfect for you. So let's get started. In today's lesson, we'll be covering the first 7 letters in detail. The very first letter in Arabic alphabets is Alif. Alif, Alif, and the sound of Alif is exactly like the sound of letter A in the word father. Alif, Alif, If you remember, I told you that there are 4 forms of each Arabic alphabet depending on its position in a word. So if alif appears in an isolated form, it will be a straight vertical line. And if it appears at the beginning of the word, it will be just like the isolated form, a straight vertical line. But if alif appears in the middle of the word, it connects to the letter prior to it. So we see a dash, which is an alif connecting to the letter prior to it. And same goes for the ending. Let's have a look at the examples. The very first example is Asad. Asad is a lion. We see that alif here appears at the beginning of the word. So it is just like the isolated form of alif. The second example is Bab. Bab, which is a door. Here alif is in the middle of the word. So it is connected to the letter prior to it. Next up is letter Ba. Ba, it is the second letter in Arabic alphabets. Ba, and the sound of Ba is just like the sound of letter B in the word bat. Now remember, when I say Ba, that is the name of the letter, but when I say B, that is the sound of the letter. Ba, B, Ba, B. These are the 4 forms of letter Ba when it appears in a word. When Ba is in an isolated form, it looks like a loop with a dot under it. When it is at the beginning of the word, it is a half loop which is connected to the letter after it. But when letter Ba is in the middle of a word, it will be connected to both the letters, that is the letter prior to it and the letter next to it. And when Ba appears at the end of the word, it will be connected to the letter prior to it, and sometimes it might not be connected to the letter as well. These are the 2 examples. First is Bint. Bint, which is a girl. Bint, which is a girl, and can also be used for daughter. We see that Ba here is at the beginning of the word, so it is connected to the next letter. Next example is Kutub. Kutub, which means books. We see that Ba here is at the end of the word and is connected to the letter prior to it. Bint, Kutub, Ba, B. Bint, Kutub. That's it for Ba. Our third letter is Ta. 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 The sound of Ta resembles the sound of letter T in top. It just resembles the sound. It's not exactly the same because we don't find the sound of letter Ta in any English word. but it does resemble the letter T. Ta, t, ta, t. And these are the 4 forms of letter ta. Ta and ba have a resemblance. The only difference is that in ta we find the 2 dots over the loop, and in ba we have a dot under the loop. The rest of it is exactly like ba. The beginning form is just like the letter ba. The middle form is also like ba. Ta will also be connected to the letter prior to it and the letter next to it. And at the ending, the letter ta will be connected to the letter prior to it. And just like ba, sometimes ta can also be found at the end of the word, but it could be in an isolated form. So again, ta, t, ta, t. Let's have a look at the examples. Here the first example is tufah, tufah, which is an apple. We see that ta appears at the beginning of the beginning of the word, and it is connected to the letter next to it. The next example is kitab, kitab, which is a book. We see that ta here is at the middle of the word and it is connected to the letter next to it, which is, we just did that, which is alif. And surprisingly, the next letter is ba. So ta, alif, ba. Remember I told you that ba could also appear in an isolated form at the end? And here's an example. Kitab, kitab, which is a book. Tufah, kitab, ta, t, tufah, kitab. And that's it for ta. How easy is that? The next letter is the letter tha. The letter tha. Now we have to be careful with this letter because we don't have any hissing sound in this letter. So make sure you don't make a hissing sound while reading the letter tha. Now the sound of letter tha resembles the sound of the letters th in the word think. Think. And these are the 4 forms of the letter sa, which are just like the letter ba and ta. Ba, ta, and tha are from the same family of letters. The isolated form will be a loop, but with 3 dots. So ba has 1 dot under the loop, ta has 2 dots over the loop, and tha has 1, 2, 3, 3 dots over the loop. And in the beginning, tha will be half loop with 3 dots. In the middle, it will be connected to the letter before it as well as the letter after it. And at the end, tha could also appear in an isolated form or connected to the letter prior to it. Let's have a look at the examples. Alright, so the first example for letter tha is thalatha, thalatha, which means 3. Now we see that tha here appears twice. First, it is at the beginning of the word, so it is connected to the letter next to it. And then we see that tha is in the middle of the word and it is connected to the letter after it. Thalatha, tha, thalatha, tha, thalatha. The next example is thawb, thawb, which is a robe. Thawb, which is a robe. Here, the letter again appears at the beginning of the word and it is attached to the letter next to it. That's it for the letter tha. Now let's recall the 4 letters we just did. The first letter was alif, a, alif, a, ba, b, ba, b, ta, t, ta, t. Last letter, tha, tha. Make sure you don't make a hissing sound while reading letter tha. The next letter is letter Jim. Letter Jim. And the sound of letter Jim is exactly like the sound of letter J in the word juice. Jim, J, Jim, J. And this is a slightly different letter from what we have done before. And these are the four forms of letter Jim. So letter Jim, when it appears in an isolated form, will be a complete Jim. But when it is at the beginning of the word, only the head of the Jim, which is this part, will be there, and the rest of the Jim will be joined to the letter next to it, or the letter that follows Jim. So the head of the Jim will appear, and remember, Jim has one dot under its head when it is at the beginning of the letter. The only time the dot of the Jim will be in its tummy is when it comes in an isolated form or when it comes at the end of the word. Anyway, when Jim appears in the middle of the word, it will be joined to the letter before it as well as the letter that is followed by Jim. So Jim, just like the three letters we did, ba, ta, tha, will be connected to both the letters, that is the letter prior to it and the letter followed by both the sides. And at the end, Jim appears like the letters ba, ta, and tha, that is, it is connected to the letter before it, but sometimes it could also be in an isolated form. Let's have a look at the examples. All right, so the first example is jidar, jidar, which is a wall. We see that Jim here is at the beginning of the word, and it is just the head of the Jim is written, and then it is connected to the letter next to it with a dot under the head. Jidar, Jim, J, Jidar. The next example is khuruj, khuruj. Just like I told you that Jim could appear in an isolated form at the end of a word, here we see that Jim is at the end of the word and is in an isolated form. So Jim, J, Jidar, Khuruj. That's it for Jim. Alright, so the next letter is Ha. Ha. Now you might notice that I have not written any English letter example for this letter because it does not resemble any letter in English. It might sound like the letter H, but the letter Ha is made by pushing air through your throat, almost like a very soft H. Ha, Ha. And the sound of Ha is Ha. So that is the sound of letter Ha. You will have to practice this particular sound. And the four forms of this letter are exactly like the letter Jim, which is a complete Ha when it is written in an isolated form. Only the head of the Ha is written when it is written at the beginning of the word, and when it comes in the middle of the word, it is connected from both sides, that is connected to the letter prior to it as well as to the letter after it. And then the last one is the ending. Ha might also appear as an isolated form at the end, and it is also joined to the letter prior to it. So this is Ha. Let's look at the examples. The first example is Halib. Halib. Halib is milk. We see that Ha here appears at the start of the word and it is joined to the letter that is followed by Ha. The next example is Bahr. Bahr. Bahr is a sea. We see that Ha here is at the middle of the word and it is joined to the letter that is followed by ha, as well as to the letter that is prior to ha. So ha, halib, bahr. That's it for ha. We finally have the letter kho. Kho, and again I have not written any alphabet from English because kho and the sound of kho does not resemble any letter in English. It does resemble a few sounds from other languages, but I'd rather not mention because we can just practice it. It is a harsh, throaty sound. So kho is a harsh, throaty sound, whereas ha was a soft, throaty sound. Kho, kho, kho. And these are the four forms of letter kho. Now, letter jim, ha, and kho are from the same family. The only difference is that of the dots. Jim has a dot in its tummy. Ha has no dot at all. And letter kho has a dot over its head. But the rest of it is the same, and by that I mean that the forms of jim, ha, and kho will be the same apart from the dots. Let's have a look at the examples. So the first example here is kharoof, kharoof, which is a sheep. Kharoof. We see that kho appears at the beginning of the word and it is joined to the letter that is followed by kho. So kho, kharoof. Next word is makhraj, makhraj, and makhraj is also used for exit. Just like khuruj is used for exit, makhraj is another word that is used for the same purpose. And here we see that kha is at the middle of the word and it is joined by both the sides to the letter prior to it as well as to the letter that is followed by kha. And that's it for kha. Alright, so we are done with the first part of Arabic alphabets. Now what I've done is that I have written 4 words using the letters we just learned. So the first word is ab, which is a father. The second one is akh, which is a brother. The third word is tab, which means to repent. And the fourth one is hujjaj, which means pilgrims. You can now see for yourself if you can join them to make a word by your own. Subscribe for more. See you in the next part. Ma salama.